Buenos días. ¿Cómo están? Muy bien. Okay, well, I won't talk in Spanish the whole time, don't worry. I'm here to tell you about something that happened to me after I graduated here 2 years ago now. What I did was I didn't know exactly where I was going to college, and I decided, I don't really want to go straight to college, not knowing exactly what I wanted to study, and not really having a strong direction in my life at that point. So what I did was I went searching on the internet, asking people for basically places I could go to offer my time and anything I could do to help, preferably overseas, because I wanted to kind of get out and see things and experience a little more before I made those big decisions. So I graduated, I worked for 10 months, and God brought me to La Fundación Hogar de la Providencia in Santa Marta, Colombia. So first, before we go on, I want you all to be able to say that perfectly, okay? So repeat after me very slowly. La Fundación. That was really good. La Fundación. Hogar. La Providencia. So, La Fundación Hogar de la Providencia de Santa Marta, Colombia. I'm going to tell you first, where is Santa Marta, Colombia? See the white dot all the way at the very top? That's the very northern coast of South America. And there's a little town. I'm not sure the exact population. I think it's around 27,000 something. Pretty small. It's called Santa Marta. It's very interesting the way this city is set up because, first of all, it's a port. Coal is a big thing there, and Santa Marta is a port for coal. And there's mountains all around, right up to the coast. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they have the highest coastal mountain in the world in Santa Marta. So it's basically like a little nest, which is how I like to describe it. It's really absolutely beautiful living there. We could walk to the beach in 15 minutes. So picture a little cove, pure mountains, wilderness, and a little tiny city of 27,000 right on the Caribbean coast. So I'm going to begin by reading you a story. Everybody likes stories, right? Pretty simple. So it's a children's book, and I illustrated it, and it's about a little girl that I met in Santa Marta, Colombia. So you guys can look at the pictures, and I will read the words from this little book. It's called Birnet. Okay, you have to learn how to say her name too. Birnet. Not Verneth, which is how we might think it's said, but she's named Birnet. And she lives in a little indigenous settlement called Nara Kahmanta. Can you say that? Nara Kahmanta. Birnet of Nara Kahmanta. Okay. Birnet lives with her 9 brothers and sisters, her mama and papa, and abuelo, which is how she calls her grandpa. They all live in a little hut made of guadua poles with a coconut palm roof in the middle of Nara Kahmanta. This is where the Chamilan Indians of Colombia live. The Chamilan Indians. Birnet is Chamilan, and she uses her 5 senses to enjoy all the things of her home in the mountains. Birnet sees abuelo pulling big sacks of bananas and papayas toward the house from his orchard. She hears her big brother, Jose Gregorio, chopping wood with his machete. Birnet watches a beautiful blue butterfly flying over her great big backyard. She smells the damp earth and wooden walls inside the house. She hears the whack, whack, slap as Mama does the laundry by the river. She watches the steady, sleeping breathing of Mama Sue, which means Luna, which means moon. Mama Sue is a word in the Chamilan language. She watches the steady, sleepy breathing of Mama Sue, the puppy, all curled up in a green hammock. Birinette smells the frying fish and boiling coffee from where her mama cooks over the open fire. And sometimes she even gets to cook all by herself when Mama is busy with baby Antonio. Birinette hears Prince the pig digging and snorting in the pile of freshly pulled yucca. She tastes ripe orange mangoes picked from the trees. Birinette feels the cold, fresh water from the Rio Gaira as she swims with her brother Cristobal and her sister Wendy. And every night, when Prince the pig is hunkered down in the corn husks, the rooster with his hens are perched, and Leon the yellow dog is curled up faithfully on the dirt floor, Birinette goes to sleep swinging in her hammock in the little hut made of wadwa poles in Naracamanta. There she is. Birinette Maria Mendoza Carmona. So, she is part of the Chamilan tribe. The Chamilans are an indigenous group of Colombia. There's various indigenous groups on the coast of Colombia, the Kogis, Arhuacos, the Wayus, but the Chamilans are one of the smallest tribes, and they're actually one of the newest tribes. I lived with Birinette and her family for about 3 weeks total in her little hut made of wadwa poles, and I learned a lot about this tribe. I guess the history cells were tingling, and I really got interested in why this tribe was here and their background. It's definitely a tribe, but they're not like you would picture. Look how she's dressed, just hand-me-down clothes, donations. They're very poor, pretty unorganized, honestly. They have a reputation of being not the most structured, don't hold fast to their traditional customs, but I got to know a lot of people from this tribe, and this is my journal from when I was there, and I'm going to read to you about the history that the founder of this settlement told me about while I was there. I'm going to read it to you right from here because I don't think I could word it any better than I did while I was there. So, July 7th, 2011. Year 1940. The Chamilan tribe was living in peace, in harmony. Working together was not a novel idea, but something that happened on a day-to-day basis. The tribe was doing well. The barns were full of cows, the pots full of yucca, and the houses full of kids. It went like that until the early 1980s, when the guerrilla and drug military began to invade. They took as they pleased and killed whoever stood in their way. The thought of a revolt filled the minds of the Chamilan men and women, but to risk their families' lives was too great. Some of the more spirited men took up arms and tried to take the violence elsewhere than in their backyards with their children. But the guerrilla force was too great and their weapons too powerful. After suffering long enough in this land of Oristuna, which is what their settlement was called at the time, one man decided that the wisest option would be to retreat and search for a new place to live. He and a faithful friend left their families, promising to return for them when they discovered a new settlement. Their search took them miles from Oristuna, the original Chamilan settlement. Over mountains, crossing rivers, sleeping here and there on their way, they finally came to the river Gaira, El Rio Gaira. The mountain range that it flowed through was only a few miles outside the flourishing small city of Santa Marta, one of the oldest and most historic of all Colombia. Something told them that this was the place for their families to live. In year 1991, these two explorers returned to Oristuna to bring their families to live in peace. even if that meant far away from their tribe. And so, Francia, who is Birenet's mother, being the daughter of one of these men, was one of the first to arrive with her children to this new settlement called Narakamanta, which means my mother. In the mother tongue, Etetara. Today, there are only 21 families living in Narakamanta. The settlement is just a baby still. The majority of the Chamilans still live in Oristuna, where it is now safe again. Last night, I sat outside with Francia's father, who is now an old man, the original founder of Narakamanta. His friend died in 1994. So that kind of gives you a background to how this tribe ended up in Oristuna. And like I said, the tribe is a baby. The Chamilans, the settlement is a baby. The tribe is older than anything, but they're just starting out in this place. So their houses are made of sticks and palm tree leaves, and they're actually just starting to make houses of cement. They're trying to really settle this place and move forward. Here's a picture of Birenet's home. There's Prince the Pig down there. This is what all the homes look like inside. You can see dirt floors. I'm pretty sure some group came in and donated every one of the families one of those big blue tanks. People use it to hold water, clothes, anything. They all sleep in hammocks. Here's another house. You can see just very primitive, throw together whatever you can find. There's Prince the Pig. He was the neighbor. He's not one of Birenet's siblings, but he lived close by. The babies, they just waddle around, bare feet, clothes or no clothes. I'm pretty sure, it's kind of hard when being a mother living there, having children, and having to change diapers and anything. They just kind of skip the whole thing and let them go naked. There's a couple kids. Actually, they're all eating mangoes. And you can kind of see in the back one of the cement structures that they're just starting to build. They make their own cinder blocks and mix it all up. And they're actually, almost everyone now has a cement house since I've been there. That's on the way. It's my favorite site, going up there. We go up on motorcycles. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful site. So, this guy. Now you know pretty much about Narakamanta. They don't have much government. They don't have much schooling. They try to have everything, but their mentality is just not like initiative, okay? They have a school building, they have teachers, but you never know when the teachers are going to show up. And some of the kids live on the opposite side of the river than the school is, and when it rains, the river grows, and so they can't go to school. It's just not very consistent. So, this guy's name is Jaime Leal. He's the pastor. He's a pastor of a church called La Puerta in Santa Marta. And he has been pastoring this church for I don't know how many years. Do you know Pastor Rick Tyson? You don't know? Okay. About 15 years? Well, he started as kind of like an evangelist guy. He really strong, motivated Christian, and he really wanted to get active in the missionary field, but locally for him in Santa Marta. So he started this little congregation Bible study every Saturday under a mango tree. Him and his wife would go around the neighborhood and gather up children and bring them under this mango tree and have a Bible study and give them juice and snacks and stuff. So that went on for a while. And then he learned about this Chamilan tribe who just came and settled. This tribe settled near Santa Marta in 1991. So if he's been preaching for 15 years, he learned about them pretty much as soon as they came to Santa Marta. So he started to go up there with a backpack, with a Bible, and just evangelize, just preach to them and just befriend them. They don't really have much food. They don't have much clothes. They have a lot of needs up there. So he would try to be a missionary to them. So after a while, his interest in this tribe and his under the mango tree Bible study began to kind of meld, and it all started kind of growing. And Pastor Jaime has a connection. He's a friend of 10th Presbyterian Church, which some of you know, some of you go there. And Bruce McDowell, which is a member of that church, he's a member of that church, really took interest in this guy and what he had going, and he decided to fund through 10th this. Well, they came down and they built this school. This is, Pastor Jaime began to bring many missionaries to this tribe, and they built this school. I got to paint the sign, which was kind of fun. And essentially, 10th Presbyterian Church funded building this, which you can see on the sign, Hogar La Providencia. So what is this place? It's basically a school/home for the children of the Chamilan tribe. Like I said, the Chamilan tribe is very unorganized. They don't have a really good schooling system going. They don't have a lot of food for their children. Many of the families have 10 or more kids, so they see this as kind of an inviting place. And so, So basically, 10th and Jaime got together and they made this place. And you can see it's pretty big. It's still in the works. Constantly making improvements. And the Chamilans start sending their kids here. And they live here all year round and go to school. It's pretty much like a boarding school. And they don't have a lot of staff. This woman is extremely active in this foundation. Her name is Nelsie Pupo, and she is pretty much, it's her, Pastor Jaime, and when I was there, me. So just think about this. Think of your summer camp that you go to. Probably like a week you go to, and there's maybe 75 to 100 kids. And think about how organized and how much staff there is there, and all that. Now, this place, right now I think there's about 25 kids living on the grounds. And when I first got there, when I first moved in, I was the only adult living there, sleeping there, with all of them. So, I mean, you can only imagine me getting there, don't know a word of Spanish, just getting thrown into this situation. And it was, I mean, there's no words for it really, but I was basically the mother of 21 kids, just like that. Like no warning, nothing. Just go ahead, you know? And I stayed there with them. I probably got at least 3 knocks on my door every night. I have a headache, my stomach hurts, I just broke out in hives, like so many things that, I mean, you guys probably have siblings. Some of you have siblings, some of you are only children, but you have your mother, and you know, you go to sleep and you know she's sleeping in the next room, you know? And she's just always there. Now some of these kids, like 21 kids, all from the ages of 5 to 17. I was only 2 years older than the oldest one. And I mean, it had its crazy moments. But I'm going to read to you about what I was going through during this time. What was the date here? Thursday, June 8th, 2011. Lately, I've been thinking about what the definition of love is. Yes, love envelops the other words of the fruits, but it is not always buttering up and kissy and flattering. I am a mother now. I am here at Hogar La Providencia. I have 25 children, and in that, I have to hold this balance. I'm the head of an enormous household. I have organized chores, responsibilities, and tasks. I have to stick to the rules and keep them set. And I never knew that backing up the rules takes more energy than laying them down. I have to put my foot down and carry out punishments at times, which is hard. This sometimes involves hard feelings. I cannot be afraid of hard feelings. I need to remember that my position as a mother is to correct and discipline, teach and comfort, build up and protect, but not just physically, also emotionally and mentally. Being a mother is a huge responsibility, and being a good mother who does her job in the sight of Jesus Christ is even bigger. The Bible says there's a time for everything, and a mother needs to realize that. Love is having the strength to correct and punish as well. That is help. My kids are learning. I can see it in them. I can feel their eyes on me too, taking in my example and taking it to heart. They're taking more initiative and helping each other more. I really do love these kids, and because God gave me a genuine love for them, it has made my task here easier. So it was amazing, just being thrown into this, how much I got to know all these kids and really felt like they were my own. And they pretty much adopted me as much as I adopted them. So basically, it was the three of us, me, Nelsie, and Pastor Jaime. Pastor Jaime was always busy running in and out. Nelsie came during the day, but she would never stay there at night. So this was a huge responsibility. I can't even emphasize that enough. So here they are. This is where they eat every day. Food is pretty scarce, I might say. For breakfast, they have a cup about this big, half full, of, it's called colada, which is basically like a watery cream of wheat texture that has every vitamin. The package says it has every vitamin a child needs for growing. So that was breakfast. And lunch was always a cup of white rice, no flavor or anything, lentils or beans. Not both, lentils or beans. And it was just a ladle of soupy lentils or soupy beans. Their delicacy was the burnt rice that was stuck on the bottom of the pan. So, that kind of gives you an idea. Dinner was whatever was left over from lunch. So sometimes we had to make popcorn for dinner. This place doesn't have very many supporters. There's a number of churches here in the States that have taken an interest in this place and are definitely making changes, but the food is a big necessity right now. Any produce, I would go to the local produce store and basically tell them our situation and pick through the worst of the rotten stuff, and then come home and we'd cut out all the moldiness, all the brown spots, and make a stew. So they went to school. Every day, it's a boarding school basically, so all the Chamilan kids live on the site, and then the neighborhoods as well, the neighborhood kids come in, and these are neighborhood kids, and they come to school here every day as well. This is me teaching English. The school supplies are basically any generous pocket comes along, drops some things off. People actually send stuff down as well. There isn't much to do at the foundation, but we definitely use what we have and have fun. One thing I did was I started a point system, and the kids had different categories in which they could earn points in. And I had this huge chart and all their names, and every morning they'd gather around and watch me put up all the points from the day before. And every last day of the month, we would have a points winner, and we'd have a big point ceremony and a huge bonfire and sing and pray, and then I would announce the winner, and there'd be a grand prize. So they loved that. They make mochilas, which you'll see on my table. I have some bags. This is an extremely traditional thing. All the tribes on the coast of Colombia make these bags out of string and a little needle. So they would make these and teach us how to make them. We gardened, we painted. It's a little mural I started with the kids. They would make each other clothes. That's Birinette and her older sister made her that dress. It's amazing, like magazines and stuff that we would just throw away, that they would just like look at everything and just amaze over it. I taught them how to make soap. Thanks to my dad, he's a real soap maker. He makes soap. He's very good at it, and I got the idea from him, and it was pretty cool because the kids don't have soap and they don't have shampoo. When they're up in the mountains, they just use sand and rub it on their bodies in the river. Sometimes they have soap, but this was cool because it gave us something to do, it was educational, and it provided us with soap. They have a bakery project going on there. This is he was the first baker we had, but right now the bakery is it's doing really well. They bake bread with the kids, and then they sell it on the street, and it brings food and it brings money, and it's just a fun thing to do as well. Most of the kids go to Pastor Jaime's church, which is a walk away. I would go with probably 20 kids every Sunday, walk 3 miles to the church down the streets. This is Eliana, Birinette's older sister, getting baptized by Pastor Jaime Leal. And of course, they get their scrapes, and they had me, and they have Nelsie Pupo there to help them out. We got the nurse's office very supplied and stocked, thanks to, I'm sure many of you sent donations and knew about that. And when my brother Eric came down, we painted the nurse's office. And when I first got there, all we had were 3 Band-Aids and about 20 bottles of anti-itch cream. So that doesn't really do for 20 kids running around and beating each other up. We just had fun. I mean, my favorite memories of this place, honestly, were not all the projects and things that we did, but just being with them. Every night we had, I made sure every night we had a Bible study, because having 20 kids, it was a family. Like, they were basically siblings, even though they weren't. And people get overlooked, and I thought it was extremely important to have that time every night where we were just all together. It wasn't like formal or anything. I would plan a little Bible study, but it was just so important to have everyone there talking about things, laughing, fighting, it's all just so important. Here's the kids with the flip-flops that you guys sent them. I don't know, was that your class? I think the middle schoolers did that. Was that you guys' class last year? Yeah, they loved those. And with Mrs. Eccles' little goodie bags, you can see the little sewed ones with the ribbons. This is when I first got there was just a well, and that was the water. That was how bathing was, hauling buckets up 3 flights of steps and using a cup. But now, thankfully, they have a pump, and that's getting better. It was pretty barren when I first got there. Like, there wasn't much to do. It was just kind of empty. So we got a garden started. We planted beans and lettuce and chives and things like that. And they loved it. They were all over that, and they could get points with that too. They up at 5 in the morning. There she is planting an avocado tree. We made a chicken coop. Jake and Claire Ennis came down, and we made a chicken coop, and we hiked up a mountain, brought chickens down in bags on either side of a donkey. That's my little puppy there that I found. One of the best, I think, changes that have happened in the past year are the beds. When I first moved in, all the kids were sleeping on mattresses about this thick, 2 or 3 to a mattress. And they were just really ratty, falling apart. I mean, almost all of the kids, if not all, have lice. And it was just a bad situation, sleeping on the floor, folding them up, throwing them in a closet during the day. But they got a donation in the past year, and now each child has their own bed bunk bed assigned to them, which is also so important. I mean, think about being a little kid, not having your parents, and not knowing where you're going to sleep at night. You know, it's just not good. It's so important to have their own space. I'm just going to tell you the names of all the kids that live here now. This is Eliana, Esther, Cristobal, Birnet, Agustin, Piedad, Georgianis, Carmen Natalia, Andres, Daisy, Jose Ivan, Omar, Jamie, Robinson, Stephanie, Lucelis, Idibet, Luz Miester, Karen, Luz Daris. And this family, their last name is Ortiz, and this woman, Sandra, she was homeless. She was living on the streets of Santa Marta with her 5 children. Only 3 of them are in this picture. And Pastor Jaime found them, invited them to live in the foundation, and they've been there. They've accepted Christ. They've been living there for 3 years. She's now the cook at the foundation, and their lives have just been completely turned around. So I would just really ask you guys to pray for this place. I mean, money is scarce, food is scarce, everything is so scarce, and they just live on prayer. They live and eat and breathe prayer, and they could just really use your prayers as well. So, yeah. Thank you.